Hey guys, welcome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with Homeschooling with Special Needs. Now, if you haven't checked out my other videos, please do so. A lot of them will still pertain to you. Just because your child has special needs does not mean that they don't. And I am going to cover a little bit about some of those things, but I do go into a lot more detail within those videos. So please do check them out. Let's get started. Hey guys, so I didn't give much about me and my family, and I apologize on that. So here it is. I am a longtime homeschooler. We've been homeschooling for about 6 years now. Matthew is special needs. He was diagnosed with autism, sensory processing disorder, ADHD, and anxiety at 3. So yes, I've been dealing with that. But I've also been a preschool teacher. I've been working with homeschool families since 2009 as well. I've been a nanny. I'm a certified Minecraft teacher as well as a trained chef. So I make a bunch of different curriculums and I can completely customize them to children. I hope that gives a little bit of background. Now, I'm not going to claim that I know everything about every diagnosis because I certainly don't. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to explain what can work and how you can customize it. Of course, there's many different answers. There's many different diagnoses, and I can help you do the research, but I do not know everything at this moment. What works for us, and again, you can adjust it, it works. And this isn't just for special needs kids, although it does a lot better when you focus on that, but it can also work with neurotypical children. So the first thing I like to cover is learning styles. You guys can check out that course. I do an entire course on the different learning styles, and there's actually 7 of them. Knowing your child's learning style will completely help you focus on what they need to learn the best. I also have another course just on teaching styles, but here's just a few. Unschooling, electric, relaxed, online curriculums, workbook curriculums, Charlotte Mason, and there's so many more. Knowing how you want to teach your child may not always fit into how they need to learn, but understanding their learning style and how you kind of want to be that teacher and what kind of curriculum you want to use, whether it's online, workbook, hybrid, you completely make your own, you completely fly by the seat of your chair, unschooling, thank you. It all works, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. So understanding that will completely help you out to figure out your curriculum and what your child needs. Please check out that course. So why are you homeschooling? There can be so many different reasons. There's no one reason that's right. Everyone has their story. I'm about to tell mine, so get out those tissues because I know I tend to tear up. But not every school fits a child's need, unfortunately. And that's okay. That's why we have options. So our story goes that I always wanted to homeschool Matthew. I always thought it was one of the better options out there. I personally had gone to New York City public school as well as a private school, and my entire education career I had been bullied to the point where I was, let's just say, not in a good place as an adult. I've overcome it. I'm 29 now, and a mom myself, but there's still those moments where you think, wow, I wish things were different. And I never want my own child to go through that. And that's exactly what I fought for. So when Matthew was little, just before he was diagnosed, I noticed that a lot of kids on the playground bullied. Doesn't matter that he was little. They were not nice. I know some parents may not like the term bullying, but let's be real. It's true. Our kids tend to get picked out even if they're not doing any harm. So he was bullied and I didn't like it. But I said something. Parents didn't like that either, but I don't care. I'm protecting my own child, and why would you want your child bullying someone else? Right? So anyway, we did the homeschooling until he was about 4.5. If you guys can hear him in the back, he's saying, And then we did a year in pre-K because my parents kept pushing public school, and we had an amazing time. We were actually really lucky, especially being in New York City, that the school was about a mile away, and there was only 10 kids to his class and 2 teachers. Now I will say, this is extremely unusual. And he was also in a dual language. So he was learning Mandarin. Now, I'm not saying your kid has to do that. This is what I thought was best for him. He was already speaking French and English, and I thought Mandarin would be a good added on. He's always been really amazing with languages. And he did. Ni hao. If you guys can hear him, he's saying ni hao. So he had an amazing time. He learned to read and write, both in English and in Chinese. So that was really cool. And I thought, wow, this school is very diverse. It's everything I wanted. Became a PTA co-president, and we went on to kindergarten. Well, that was the wrong move on our part. So come kindergarten, from the get-go, his class size more than doubled. So he went from 10 kids to 25 and 1 teacher. Yeah, that was a lot for an adjustment. And I had been guaranteed that they would still be a smaller class size with 2 teachers. Well, I was lied to. So from the get-go, there was too many kids in the class. Very distracted. She couldn't really focus on Matthew, let alone any other child. Added on, there was a child in the classroom who was a Mandarin native speaker. I think it was Mandarin. I'm not sure if it was Mandarin or Cantonese, but I'll just say Mandarin. And this child didn't do well. This child kept having violent meltdowns within the classroom. And yes, they were very responsive, and they were trying to handle this child and try to figure things out. But in the meantime, the rest of the classroom was kind of free range and saw everything, and that really affected Matthew. Matthew started coming home being angry and started having these meltdowns too. And I kept explaining to him, like, no, it's not okay. We don't do this. And I even told the teacher, like, this is what's going on. I know what's going on in the classroom. We were all trying to work with Matthew as well. Turns out he was getting bullied by one particular child, this little boy. And I found out from Matthew, and I went up to the teacher, because being a co-president, I could have easily found out who it was, but look, the teachers are actually supposed to do this, right? So I went up to the teacher and I said, hey, just so you know, X is bullying him, just so you know, can you talk to him? So I guess she talked to him and the mom came up to me, and she was so sweet. She felt so bad. It was like the kindest apology. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. She was like the kindest apology. Apparently the older sibling was special needs as well, and she would never allow this to happen. And it was just such a sweet moment. And I was like, listen, I didn't want him to get in trouble. I just wanted to talk to him too. And she really was so appreciative. But then within the next week, the child was never to be seen again. So I don't know what happened. I wasn't trying to push them out or anything, just so you guys know. Like, I don't know what happened. So going on, that was like October, like beginning of October when that happened. Matthew was still having a lot of problems. He was regressing both academically, and emotionally. And he was still having these meltdowns at home. He was angry, he was depressed. There was so much going on. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? I tried everything I possibly could to figure out the reason and to help him. Everything I could think of. Yeah. So there was a couple days where he would come home and like he'd have a couple marks on his neck and I'd be like, what happened? Some days he would tell me, some days he would be like, well, so-and-so choked me. Yeah. That pissed me off. And every time I found out, I would actually go to the teacher. I would be like, listen, like Matthew's coming home with these marks. He's telling me that so-and-so choked him. Like, what's going on? And she's like, well, I didn't see anything. That kind of bothered me, but I was like, okay, maybe it was just a couple times. Matthew was not a fighter, but I tried to like, Matthew, if this person's doing this, you need to like kind of push them back a little bit so that you're in a safe zone. You don't have to hurt the person, but our self-defense, he was taking karate at the time it was judo through the school. They had a judo teacher, which was really cool. And he taught him how to do self-defense. So we're going on. He's still having these problems. I'm still bringing it up, not just to the teacher at this point, but I'm bringing it up to the district office that there is bullying within the school. Mind you, the entire PTA was there, and we all brought it up because Matthew wasn't the only one having a problem. And they yelled at us. Bullying is not a problem in the school. Don't you dare bring that into our school, blah, blah, blah. But it's a big issue because there was bullying to the point where other children were getting their bones broken. Yes, to that extent. But they completely deny that. So going on, I'm pissed off already as a PTA parent, as well now as just a regular parent, and my kid is not doing well. The principal was like, well, we can move him into a different classroom. Mind you, the other classrooms have the same size kids in the middle of the year. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, the reason I put him in this he's doing fine with the Chinese. There's too many kids in this goddamn classroom and you're not helping. She has no help as a teacher. It's not the teacher's fault. She's so sweet. But it's like, all of a sudden the principal turned on me. Like everything was my fault after I brought up bullying. And then she blamed me that Matthew was regressing for all these reasons because I decided to go to culinary school. My Joe was in culinary school from 8 a.m. to 12, and then I was right at his school, being a PTA president, being right on top of everything. So, and mind you, I had known since August, and I had transitioned him that entire time that my dad would be taking him to school in the mornings. Matthew knew well ahead. I knew he was fine on that aspect. It was not my fault. And don't you dare blame a parent for your child failing when they're doing everything they possibly can. Okay, sorry. Moving on. So his birthday is his birthday is in mid-February. And I had culinary school that day. I think I had a final that day. Anyway, I had everything ready for the classroom party. So I went straight home from culinary school. I grabbed her cupcakes and stuff, and then I went to the classroom. We did our party. So I get there, and Matthew is sitting in the back of the classroom at the teacher's desk, just kind of sitting there, like, kind of sad. Like, what's going on? She said, oh, he does better there. He doesn't concentrate well. He's too distracted. Well, you think you have, like, 25 kids in the classroom. Like, what else do you expect? Like, all these other kids are getting distracted. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to let it go. The next week would be midwinter break. Whatever. Let it go. So anyway, I'm giving out the cupcakes, and the girl that choked Matthew, she was in trouble for something else. I don't know what it was. And the teacher was like, well, she can have one later. She's in trouble right now. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then another classmate of Matthew's turns to me and goes, oh, Matthew's mommy, did you know that he got choked every single day? She would wait till the teacher was had her back turned or was busy somewhere else, and she would push Matthew into the closet that was right there, and she would choke him. Every single day. And other kids were like, yeah, that happens. Why am I finding out by another kid? I mean, my kid doesn't talk very much about it because he was traumatized. Other kids are now telling me. And there were other problems with this little girl. Other kids were getting picked on and stuff. But there was no repercussions. And I had brought it up to the principal, and I brought it up to the teacher. No repercussions. So now my kid is suffering this entire time. Yeah, frustrating. So anyway, we go home. I kept it all together. Like literally, I kept it all in. I was like so angry. But I was like, oh, thank you. I was almost on the verge of tears. Sorry, I'm trying not to cry. Because I never wanted him to go through this. So we go home that day, and I tell my parents exactly everything that happened. And I told my mom, I said, there's no way he can ever step foot back in that school. The fact that they deny any bullying at all, there was no way he was going to get help. At all. So that's when we decided to homeschool. And we continued on, and we've been... Okay, so I apologize for crying on camera. Just a little bit about how to get started is that it doesn't matter if your child has special needs or not. You still need to know your state laws. We kind of went over your learning styles and teaching styles, and then figuring out a curriculum, which all that will help. If you need more one-on-one with that, please feel free to reach out to me. I am doing consulting, and we can completely work with that and where your child needs to be. I'm happy to research your state laws as well. I can specifically speak to New York because I know it by heart, but there are states like Texas that have no laws at all, and you can kind of free range whatever it is you need to do. On that note, a lot of states do still provide therapies like speech, occupational, physical, and whatever else they may need. And unfortunately, some do not. Please find out if your state will still require the therapies. And if you can afford it, go for the private. If they don't, otherwise, I'm so sorry. Sometimes they just suck, and they really allow our kids to fall behind even further. The good thing is that some of those things that you would learn within those therapies, I'm going to kind of go over, and you can work with your child. Pinterest and Google can be a really good help with figuring out where your child needs as well on those therapies if you have to stop. Okay, so making a special space for them or a sensory space. Now, maybe you've heard of sensory rooms or sensory areas. They are really good for kids like ours, especially, to have that safe spot. Now, you don't need to do school all the time. You don't need to sit there for hours upon hours doing schoolwork, and you shouldn't be fighting with your children. Our kids, even less so than neurotypical, really struggle with sitting sometimes. So maybe you have to adjust your workspace or adjust where you do things or just how you do things with their learning styles, and that's completely okay. Take breaks. So I completely advise on a sensory space. You don't need a big area. If you have like a corner or say an empty closet that you can use, or say space under a loft bed, that's what we've done. It really helps, and you can customize it to your child, and you don't have to spend a lot of money, I promise you. So we have old Christmas lights that I've hung up. He uses a special blankets. You can do headphones if they need it, or a massager, fidgets, have different light sources, whatever they need and whatever helps with their sensory. I like to have that on hand and like say in a little basket. And you can completely, like I said, customize it to your child. For the older kids, especially for the high school age, maybe they need a desk. So maybe you want to have a space for them and they can decorate it. This is good for their room too. Have them feel safe in their own space. This will be less overwhelming for them and they can really feel comfortable. We all want to feel that, right? But you don't want them to have meltdowns over schoolwork. If they start feeling that, they can always go to that place and calm themselves. Learning how to cope in their different ways is good. Now, working with your child, there are so many different ways that you can go about this, and this is why I say you really need to know what your child's learning style is. Some kids need that schedule or need that visual or have that checklist that they can do and check it off or see it, okay, I have to do math and then reading. They know what's ahead of time. And if that works for your child, great, use it. Pinterest, and I can help you guys create a schedule or a checklist. You can laminate it, you can use a whiteboard. There's so many different ways that you can go about it to help your child. Now, like I mentioned in the last part, your child really does need those sensory breaks or those brain breaks. Every child does. We all need breaks. You do not have to be sitting at a table and learning from a curriculum, whether it be workbook or online, all the time. There's so many different ways to learn. You can be cooking, you can be playing games, you can be going on field trips. The moment your child wakes up to the moment they fall asleep, they're still learning. Even if they're special needs, they're still learning something. Is it maybe important to the rest of their life? Maybe not. Maybe it's a YouTube video. But that's okay. They're still learning. Use what they are good at. Use what their interests are to their advantage. Encourage it. Maybe they like YouTube videos. Maybe encourage making their own. Study a topic and make a video. Do they have to post it online? Not necessarily. That's okay. Say their interest is dinosaurs, and maybe they're not in high school age, but they're a little bit younger. Why not find workbooks or books about dinosaurs? You can talk about the history, you could talk about the science, you could talk about the zoology of it. There's so many different things. Now, in the writing aspect, you can always go with, well, write an essay on dinosaurs, or what do you think dinosaurs lived like? What would it be like living with a dinosaur? There's so many different things. And with math, you can make your own worksheets. Canva is good. There's Taught School for the younger kids, 1, 2, 3 Homeschool, and Pinterest. Like I said, Pinterest will be one of your lifesavers. And just simple Google. Google will help. On that note, every child has a weakness. Use what they're good at and what those interests are to help with those other areas. For Matthew, Minecraft is his interest, right? He's really good at it. He really enjoys it, but he struggles in reading and writing. So I found workbooks on Minecraft, using Minecraft, and that's what we use. And I've seen a huge improvement just doing that. But we also use Minecraft the game to learn. You can learn every single subject within Minecraft, or using it as a tool. It's so amazing. On that note, whatever their interest is, whether it be Minecraft, cooking, dinosaurs, cars even, get excited about it. There's so many fun things you can do, and our children really need us to bond with them more. They really need that. And when we bond with them and we see their excitement, you can do so much. And you'll stop arguing with them. I guarantee your kid will be excited to learn if they know they're going to be learning about their interests. Matthew begs for lessons on Minecraft. Or like we're doing a camping lesson. He's so excited. Get excited with them. Okay, now I know grade levels and there's a lot of concerns with this. It's completely okay to move your head forward if they need it, or hold them back if they need it. That's completely okay. It's totally common for your child to be ahead in some areas and behind in others. It's okay. That's every child. Now, if your child is maybe a little bit further behind than others, maybe try focusing on life skills like cooking, cleaning, laundry, trying to be a little bit more independent than, say, learning about the Vietnam War, for example. That's okay. Now, will that come in handy one day? Yeah, maybe, but maybe not. Just because your child isn't capable of doing one particular thing doesn't mean that they don't have their own strengths. Use it to their advantage. It's okay. And it's okay if they're behind, or it's okay if they're ahead. There's really no grade levels in homeschooling. You do what you need to do. So on that note, thank you guys so much for listening to my little webinar. I apologize for the crying on my own story. I have a lot more that I'm doing. Check out the other videos, please. They are still helpful to you guys as much as they are to other people. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know down below, or contact me through my contact page, or if you need one-on-one consulting, let me know. I am available. That is an option here. And let me know what you guys think. I love to hear feedback. Stay safe and stay healthy, guys.